I decided to organise the trip to Fiji after a conference in Perth where I hosted a Youth for Christ team from Fiji, and I really wanted to go there and serve YFC there, helping them out with the work that they're doing.
Probably the main reason was I could see the opportunity that we could have to encourage and share with the YFC Fiji team. That's something that I really wanted to do. Recognising that they're there all the time, every day of every week, every year, and it's just an opportunity to input into their lives a little bit.
I went to Fiji because it was a really good opportunity for me to go on a mission trip. Got it placed on my heart probably for about 6 months before I found out about Fiji that I needed to go on a mission trip, and when this opportunity came up I basically couldn't let it go. So
Aaron came back from Aspire really excited, wanting to go on a mission trip to Fiji because he hosted the Fijians and they're here. And I met a few of them and they were really friendly and really nice and everything. And really wanted to go over there and experience their culture and their life as it is and get to know them better.
This is the first team from Australia that has come to us, and it's always that question of thinking about, how will you go in Fiji? What about the food? What about the culture? What about the different issues that young people in here face?
I wasn't really expecting a lot. I didn't know what to expect because we hadn't found out a lot of information before we went about what we were going to be doing, about the kind of people we were going to be dealing with.
I had no idea. Really didn't know what we had going on, what we were going to, what they did. So it was a bit of a step of faith, I guess, or a leap into the unknown.
Well, we've made it. We're here in Fiji now at the Youth for Christ Fiji office. We survived our first day.
Here we are in this beautiful setting. This is the Youth for Christ Fiji offices. It was built in 1998 by a Project Serve team from New Zealand. And this is Aaron and my residence for the week, for 2 weeks.
This is Sareki's house. He's the National Director of Youth for Christ in Fiji. And Janelle and I will be staying here for the 2.5 weeks.
Shower. But look at this. Only one tap, only cold water.
The first couple of mornings of cold showers were really, really hard. I just kind of did the limb at a time method because I couldn't stand under the whole thing. But after that, it seemed to get warmer.
Yeah, it was really bad. You sort of like washing your hair going, don't want to get under. But we sort of got used to it by the end. Not that you can get used to cold showers, but as used to it as you can get.
Our first couple of days in Fiji were basically rest days, I guess, just so we could get used to the new culture that we were in before heading out into the community and to schools to share God's love with the people.
So are you. So let's just praise the Lord, right and left and right.
Here we'll look at one of the negative peer pressure that you got.
Yeah, the school's really fun. We were expecting to go into high schools, which I'm a child carer by profession, so I was a bit nervous about that. But when we went over there, we turned out was going to primary schools, which was more up my alley. So I was a bit more confident than I would have been if we went to high school. So that was good.
I had a whole bunch of stuff prepared for high school age students, which just went right out the window as soon as they told us that we were going to be working with kids as young as 5 and 6. So that was interesting.
All 4 of us sort of looked at each other and said, does anybody know anything about 6-year-olds? And I wasn't one of those. So yes, that was a bit difficult to know. We didn't only have the language barrier in terms of our Australian accents with English, we also had the age barrier as well. So that made it a little bit more difficult to try to have some kind of relationship with the kids we were teaching.
The kids, especially the younger kids, like the preschool kids and the younger classes. It was really cool. I was really confident it was my job to work with kids that age, so I was quite confident with interacting with them and being on their level and that sort of thing, and I sort of had an idea in my head of what I needed to do and what I needed to talk about. But it was frustrating sometimes when the other guys just didn't know what to do, and it was just frustrating when the puppet show went really bad.
The lowlight of the kindergarten class was no doubt the puppet show. That was a complete disaster.
The puppet show. I think there's already been enough said about the puppet show. It was appalling. It was one of the... Yeah, it just went nowhere. Came from nowhere, and probably shouldn't have been done at all. The kids weren't interested. We had 2 puppets. No character really, just 2 puppets. They just kind of did stuff that was kind of boring and tried to tell a story. And
Ryan said, yeah, I'll do the puppet show. Puppets, awesome, I can do puppets. Turns out they had like 3 puppets and Ryan really couldn't do much with them. And it was quite funny. And they started off okay. It went for about 5 minutes and turned into about 10 minutes. And by the end it was probably like 15 minutes of just nothing. They had nothing. It was really bad. I was sitting there going, oh my goodness.
we really didn't have a lot going on there with the puppet show, and I think the kids realised that and decided that, yeah, we're not going to bother. But it was really hard. We couldn't see what the kids were doing. We weren't getting responses. It fell on its head.
Yeah, the puppet show was definitely one of the most forgettable experiences of the trip, but overall I think in the schools we did quite well.
I think that what the Fiji team did in the schools was quite unique and quite different to what happened in the schools the majority of the time. So I think the kids really appreciated them going in there and singing songs and playing some games and giving out some prizes. So yeah, it was a good time.
In the schools program, actually getting to work with the YFC team in Fiji, just getting to know the work that they do and being able to actually be a participant in what they were doing as well. So that was really good. That was probably the best part.
We went in there and immediately we had their attention because we were different. We all had our white YFC shirts on, and it was exciting, something new. There's always something exciting about a visitor for a different country and things like that. So yeah, I think we did a really good job impacting those kids.
I'll pin my colours to the wall, 'cause I don't want to live a life of prison. Where you go, I'll follow you forever. In mountains high or valleys low, wherever you will go, that's where I will go to. And where you go, I'll follow you forever, Lord, forever.
YFC Fiji have recently started a new community development program, and they wanted us to go out with them to a village that they'd been working in, just to share with the people out there and to encourage them in their Christian faith.
Yeah, we went out to Bala Bala village and that was really good. It was a very different experience for me. Going into someone's home in a village was totally different to Australia.
It was an opportunity to meet some Fijian people who live a different way to even the ones that we were staying with. There was a family that lived in kind of one bedroom with 6 boys, a couple of uncles and a few cousins as well, so it was kind of crowded.
Basically, we're helping the YFC team to do follow-up from a camp that they'd run a few weeks previously where 4 of the people from the village had actually made a commitment. So we were, the 4 of us went out to the village just to help with the follow-up. We kind of ran a service every afternoon.
We all sort of sat around on straw mats on the ground and had one guitar and a guy playing a keyboard and sung worship songs and stuff like that. And it was really cool, really fun singing with them, listening to them sing in Fijian. And that was really inspiring because, it was really get into their culture was really exciting.
after the service, we'd just sit and talk and have a cup of tea and something to eat with the people. So that was a really good time. I really enjoyed that.
The language barrier was a bit hard. I'm a naturally really fast-speaking person, and they don't understand English all the best anyway, so that was a bit hard. But afterwards, sort of, there's something between you that just clicks and you know what the other person's talking about, and it was really exciting to develop that relationship over the 4 days that we were there.
It was a great time to get out there in amongst what they were doing in their church, in their local church, and hang out with their youth group, to do some talks, to do some personal testimonies, sing some songs, and just get to know them a little bit, and again encourage them.
I loved the village. I thought it was great. I had the privilege of sharing each day we went out there. I shared from the Bible and a little bit about myself, and that was an awesome experience, just to share with them and to see their appreciation of that.
The first day we went, when they brought out tea and cakes, Sareki said to the lady, "Oh, you don't need to do this," and her response being, "I would give you everything that I had. This is how much I appreciate you coming out here." That just really meant a lot, that what we were doing wasn't for nothing.
At the end of it, we gave them a guitar to keep, and they were just so appreciative of that, and said, "Oh, we've been praying for a guitar for ages," and we didn't know that, but just felt led to give them a guitar, and they were so excited. And I think that was one of the highlights of working in the village, of us being able to be an answer to their prayer, alongside going and encouraging them in our talks and our testimonies and things like that, but also giving them something practical that they really needed. I thought that was really cool.
One great thing we did out in the village was we tried coconut, and that was fantastic. I loved it. No one else really liked it though, but I thought it was great.
Really nice.
The coconut juice was sort of like dishwater type looking. It looked pretty gross, but it wasn't too bad. I mean, we all tried it. We didn't have much of a choice with them forcing it. Drink some coconut, okay. But yeah, it was alright. Not something I'd like to do every day, but yeah.
Coconut is not one of my favourite fruits, but it was interesting. It wasn't a bad taste, but it's just not something that I'm used to, so.
One of the things when you arrive in Fiji that really stands out, it really struck me anyway, was just the amount of churches. They're everywhere, and it was really interesting to see when Sunday morning came. There was just heaps of people lining the streets, and they'd have their Bible in their hand and they'd all be heading off to church, and it was really quite bizarre.
The churches that we went to were all very different, so it was really, really good to see the contrast between all of them.
We went to really 3 different types of churches. We went to a Brethren, we went to a Fijian Methodist, and we also went to an Indian Church of Christ. So they were all quite different. One was in Hindi, one was in Fijian. Kind of didn't understand a lot of what was going on, but it was a good opportunity to see how different cultures worship God. And what the Hindi church was doing was amazing. The Fijian church was a little bit different, with a guy walking around with a big stick making sure the kids stay in line.
I felt really uneasy at the traditional Fijian church service. While it was a good experience, it was really intimidating. Janelle and Tracy were both upset because of the guy who was going around hitting the kids if they didn't pay attention. And I had to get up and talk in front of the church, which was extremely nerve-wracking.
Alan was freaked. He was so nervous. He's not usually a nervous person, so seeing him up the front, shaky. It was cool. It was good. I'm really proud that he got up there and did it. It was funny as well that most of the people couldn't speak English and they were sort of looking blankly at him. But it was good. It was really brave. I don't think I would have done it.
I think it was a good experience for all of us Australians to be involved in the various church services that we were in, and also the youth groups. They were heaps of fun.
It reminded me of when I was at youth group when I was in the lower high school age bracket. All the fun games, the icebreakers, things like that. Really team building, and I think that was one of my favourite parts of the trip. The youth groups. It was really good singing together with people similar age groups and hearing them in their stories and what they go through in Fiji being a youth and growing up as a teenager, comparing it to what we go through. I think it was really good.
But they run their youth groups like a full-on service, so that was just really different to see the way that the kids respond to the way that they run their youth group. They still get people coming along even though they basically have a service on Sunday as well, and then they have this service on Friday nights. So.
They'd play a few games, so that was a little bit different, but then they'd sit down and they would sing songs, and then they would have a message, kind of like a church service. So that was quite unusual. And when we had the training with the YFC team, the volunteer team on the Saturday, we talked about why they do their youth group the way they do, and it was an insight into how the Fijian culture works. So that was a learning experience for me, seeing how church is kind of a centre of their culture.
Yeah, I really enjoyed hanging out with the YFC staff and volunteers, going into the city, down the beach, and just sitting around with them, talking, sharing our hopes and dreams with them and having them share with us. It was a really beneficial time.
At first it was a bit hard to, or for me anyway, I'm sort of like a hang back sort of person. So at first it was a bit hard to interact with them, but once we got to know each other, playing cards, and they cheat all the time, and just having a good laugh at them. It was so funny. We just had the best time, and it was really sad to go.
I think hanging out with the volunteers and the staff was probably one of the things I enjoyed the most. From the Fijian team cheating at cards consistently to going out on the fishing trips that we did. It was a great time to just sit down, chat to them, get to know them, encourage them, talk to them about their experiences and what they hope to do in the future, and just encouraging them, and that was a really good time.
Going into town with the volunteers was really fun. They took us to all the cool spots, got us bargains when we were shopping. Not that we did much shopping, but they got us all bargains and took us to all the good spots to eat, all the cheap foods, and really made it fun and made it like a holiday for us in that respect. One time we went to the beach with them, which that was a good experience.
It was a weird day weather-wise to start with, but because it was raining when we got there. But yeah, we'd been built up to white sandy beaches and palm trees, and we got there and there was brown sand and stones and pebbles all over the floor and hardly any beach and not many palm trees. But it was still really beautiful, and the water was really nice and warm.
All the YFC team all jump in the water fully clothed, and we're thinking, man, should we just wear our bathers or should we jump in fully clothed too? And we thought, no, we didn't bring any dry clothes, so we'll fold them all up, put them nicely on the beach on our towels, didn't even get sand on them, let alone water. And then we walked back to the inn where we parked the bus, and on the way back we got drenched by this huge downpour of rain and all our clothes are like dripping anyway, and we're like, okay, so much for keeping our clothes dry. So that was really funny. That was a really good team building time for us, I think.
One of the main goals that we had for the trip was to really encourage the YFC Fiji team and to build relationships with them. And I think after the 2.5 weeks that we were there, we really succeeded in achieving that.
When got truth on my mind, and my focus draws the line, there's nothing clearer. I said it's time my own ambition for relation, not religion. It's a killer, man. Perseverance is the key. It's not my time anymore. You see, I serve the healer. When trouble comes, I dance to the groove of my Lord. The devil has no chance. Justified by faith, I stand assured. I desire to see greater change for the better in me. Humility and the pride you see. Now I'm coming deeper. I now incline my ear. I know your love cast out fear. I'm getting deeper. I lay my life down at the cross, joining you to tell the lost there's a redeemer. I take a stand in life's fight. I walk by faith and not by sight. I'm a believer. I seek not to be unsaw in this world. Pride is a destroyer. It's a deceiver. Hey, when trouble comes, I dance to the groove of my Lord.
My highlight of the trip would have to be the first youth group that we went to, and I was asked to preach a sermon there. It was the first time I'd ever preached a sermon, and it was to about 40 young people, and I was extremely nervous, but it went really well. It couldn't have gone better as far as I was concerned. The response that I got from the young people was just unbelievable. The feedback that they gave me, just how what I had said had impacted them, and that was really encouraging for me and something that I'm never going to forget.
My highlight would have been the second last night we were there, the Saturday night. The Aussie team and the YFC team, we all went into town together. We watched a movie and we just walked around the city, went to McDonald's, just had a really good night together, bonding with them and just being able to do what they would usually do on like a Friday or Saturday night. Yeah, it was really good just hanging out with them and being a Fijian. It was cool.
The best thing about the trip was seeing how passionate the Fijian people who were volunteers, most of them weren't paid, they took holidays and dedicated themselves to taking God and Christ's message into schools and into the youth of Fiji, and that was just a really encouraging thing for me.
The last day we went to the village where we were sharing with all the people, and we had our time of worship, and when we presented them with the guitar, that they said that they'd been praying for a guitar for ages and they didn't know where they were going to get the guitar from, but God basically answered their prayers, and that was just really cool just to see the difference that it made to them. It was such a small gesture on our part, but it really meant a lot to all of the people there, so that was probably the one thing that was stand out. trip was a really good opportunity to meet some really amazing people who are doing some really amazing stuff for God, and it gave me a lot of time also to think about where I am at with God, and taught me things about how I can use what we learnt to go on to do other stuff now that I'm back in Perth. Hopefully I can continue to do that.
I think I learnt to be more appreciative of what I've got at home, and not complain about the little things. If we don't have something, we've got to remember that people in the world don't have that, and it's not a big deal for them. Really opened my eyes to seeing different people's standard of living and what they consider important and what they don't consider important.
It was a really productive time. It was a great opportunity to go and encourage and be encouraged by people living for Christ in a different place, and something that was very worthwhile, and hopefully will happen again.
I really gained an appreciation for other cultures, I think. It would have been so easy for us to go there and to think, hey, you do this wrong, you do that wrong, you should do this that way. But once you get down and you live amongst them, you get to know them and the way they think and what is right in their culture, you kind of learn that what they do isn't wrong, it's just different.
Being here brings us together on the whole basis of what we are, ministering to young people. So it was very, very beneficial. I must say that we were very fortunate to have a team at this particular time.
Seeing the way that Youth for Christ Fiji is reaching out and sharing God's love with their community was such a blessing, and to be a part of that and to encourage them in what they're doing was an amazing experience.